building off of what George just showed, that ability to go through and use the Esri account for our authentication to Cityworks, and then the ability to interact with those web maps, I've asked Billy Lane to come to the stage, and together we're going to provide an example of how these patterns of Web GIS and that functionality that George showed here can be incorporated as part of the workflows in your organizations. And we're going to be showing this in combination of the Cityworks functionality and expanding that across the Esri apps. So with that, I'm going to start off and hand it off to Billy.
Hi, Becky. I'm really excited about the work we've done with the Esri suite of apps. It really highlights how Cityworks is both a system of engagement and a system of record. Today, we will focus on a workflow incorporating Esri's Crowdsourced Reporter app, Workforce, and the Cityworks platform, specifically our Office and native mobile experiences. For those not familiar, Crowdsourced Reporter presents one or more web maps that can be used to report problems or observations. Users can anonymously submit new reports, review existing reports, or review submitted reports. To track the status of their reports, users log in with their ArcGIS or social media credentials, like Facebook. Or in this example, we're actually going to use Google+. So this is the Crowdsourced Reporter app. I'm going to go ahead and log in with my Google+ login. It recognizes me and welcomes me back. Here are 3 web maps: forester problems, water problems, and street problems. In this demo, we're going to use street problems. And you'll notice with it, we have a list of previous reports that I've made, and I can view those reports either in the list form or here on the map. I can also start to submit a new report. And then, just like you'd see in a Cityworks service request, we have the problem type. So I'm going to go ahead and select a problem type. We're going to say we're going to have a snow or ice issue, and then add some details. Here we'll say we have excessive snow. Type that in. And then I'll add information like my name, contact information, my address, phone number, email address, and finally, the location of where I am. Now, I'm using a device that has location services. I actually have my location services turned off. Our data set is in Edmond, Oklahoma, but I'm here in Sandy, Utah, so let's go ahead and put my address in from Edmond, paste that in there, and then use the Esri geolocator to locate me. All right. So all I have to do now is simply report this, and it's going to report it into the Crowdsource app. So now that's going to go into Cityworks, where Becky can pick it up and view that report and carry the workflow on.
So now, as you see here in my Cityworks inbox, I have a new service request, and it's coming in from Crowdsource, and this is the one that Billy just submitted. And if I could just take a second to say, to me, this is really exciting. We have so many clients who, of course, are strong Esri clients because of the functionality of Cityworks and the overlap between those applications. And so many of you have been using these Esri apps and saying we want to have that alignment between the two systems to be able to go back and forth. And here we're able to actually show that taking place today. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this service request. And for the purposes of today, we're going to assume somebody's already gone out there. There's been a field investigation. And from here, we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to geocode the location of my service request and pop out to my map to go ahead and select the associated street segment. And now when I come back over to Cityworks, I'm going to go ahead and create a work order to go out in the field and do plowing to remove that excessive ice. And so this work order is being created in Cityworks, but at the same time, it's also going through and generating that work activity over in the Workforce application. And so not all of you are aware, but for those of you who are new to Workforce, Workforce is an application from Esri that allows for dispatching of those crews in the field and management of those work activities. And actually, you can see here now, I'm over on the Workforce tab, and that work order that I just created in Cityworks has shown up here. And as Billy mentioned, we're using a data set that's located in Edmond, Oklahoma. But as I zoom in here to the map, you can see that Billy's showing up for me here with his activity, his location. Workforce is letting me know that he's available for assignments, and I can see his proximity from those work activities. It's a bit of a drive, but I'm still going to go ahead and submit this work activity to Billy here, so I can go ahead and select it through Workforce and make my assignment. And now at this point, it's going to actually go through and take that assignment that's been made through Workforce and go through and update that activity in the Workforce app, which I'm going to hand back to Billy, and he's going to show how he's going to access that on the Workforce app on his phone, representative of what would be going on out in the field.
Thanks, Becky. I'm just waiting for my Workforce app to update with that activity, and there it is. And you can see I have a notification telling me I have a new assignment, and it popped into my to-do list. So we're going to open it up. I can view its location. I can see the comments that came over from the Cityworks activity. I can add comments, or I can go ahead and navigate to this assignment using the Navigator app from Esri as well. But there's also one more option for me. I can go ahead and open this assignment in the native mobile app from Cityworks. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's asking me to sync my activity with my Cityworks app. And here we go. And there's my work order. So here I can see that work order at that same address. Again, I have all my information that came in Cityworks and that you're used to in this native app. I have my labor, material, and equipment, my tasks, any attachments, and custom fields. Let's go ahead and add some labor. The native mobile app uses the concept of crews, which you're familiar with in the Office solution and in Respond. We have Elm, when you use Elm. So I'm going to go ahead and use my plow salt crew here, and I'm going to add 1 hour for myself. And say done, and there is the time I just added. Finally, I can go ahead and just complete this activity. So we'll complete it, and now to push it back to Cityworks, all I have to do is sync. So now this is going to take that work activity that I just created and pass that back over to Becky, who can view it in Office or any of the other Cityworks solutions.
Thank you, Billy. And so now here, back in Workforce, in the Office, I just refreshed my screen, and it shows already that update from the Cityworks native apps. And so it shows it here in Workforce, the activity is completed. But also, if I return back to my Cityworks inbox, I have that service request with the work order that I created that was attached, showing that initial status of pending. If I go ahead and open that up now, it's going to show me those updates that came in from Billy through the native app. So I can see that the work was completed, some of the population automatically of the finish date and who did the work. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And just using the core Cityworks logic, it's going to go ahead and automatically close that associated service request. But with the work that we've been doing in conjunction with Esri, it's also going to go back and close out that Crowdsource Reporter. And so now, as a citizen, Billy's able to log back in and see the status of his submittal and any changes that have been made by the organization. And so I'm going to go back to Billy.
Thanks, Becky. So once again, I'm back in that Crowdsource Reporter app. I'm going to go ahead and look at my street problems. These will include all problems that have been reported by me. And here's my that most recent problem at the top. And as you can see, it has a status of completed. So starting off in the Crowdsource app, going ahead and assigning it through the Workforce application, reviewing it, receiving it in the field from the Workforce application, adding all my costs, and then closing it out right back here in Crowdsource Reporter.
And then last, we just want to show, in relation to taking all this data that's being compiled throughout this workflow process, we're able to roll it all up to the operations dashboard. Those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's another app from Esri that allows a more managerial level and view of what's going on with some analysis and statistics that can be embedded within. And here we've gone ahead and just put it into the Cityworks inbox as another website link. It's updating dynamically and providing those updates from those activities that we showed throughout this workflow. We're also aware many of you have users within your organizations who aren't even using Cityworks. They might be using Collector from Esri. And that information as well can be pulled into Cityworks, into the inbox, and shared out to those Cityworks users within the organization. And if you have any questions about how that's being accomplished, please feel free to stop by our solution stations in the expo hall this week. Find Billy and Bridget, who you'll be introduced to later this afternoon, and they can both go through and show you some of those examples.